Hello and welcome to your show Just For You. And this is your man, Soniwa Fella. And I'm so glad to be with you today. You know, there have been something going on in Liberia for a little bit here, maybe for a few days, maybe a week or so or two, concerning the army wives. I thought on not discussing this very issue because it's very, very sensitive. I felt it was best for the government of Liberia to, listen to these ladies and try to find a way out of this could be dangerous situation. We know what we went through for 14 years, and so many of our people, brothers, sisters, auntie, uncles, nephew, nieces, were massacred, were killed. And we found out that it was all because of greed of certain people. And we are now in 2024 and we see such dangerous and ugly stuff propping up its head again because of dissatisfaction. Do you know what causes uprising and protests and coup d'etat? Is when the people are not satisfied with what you tend to do to them. So we find out here that the army, the wives were representing the men in arms. And we must really praise God that the men themselves did not come out. It could have been a serious, serious problem. In 21 days of His Excellency Joseph Boyka's government, these things begin to unravel and unfold right before our very eyes. I'm very thankful and grateful to Mr. or General Prince C. Johnson for listening to the cries of the people and putting his selfish desires aside and turning in his resignation as Minister of Defense, because the women were saying that if Major Johnson doesn't step down, he's Major General, they won't leave the street. We saw what was building up in Liberia. Traffic were blocked. And the men tend to send their wives out there because I know they explain things to their wives about their situation, and the women themselves were involved. They began to experience the difficulties that they were going through. And I fully believe that Liberians should know, our leaders should know that the government was overthrown before by the very military. Maybe not this group, but they were the army of the military, the army guys of Liberia, Samuel Kanyado and his group, that overthrew the government of Liberia because of lack of pay, because of low pay, and so many other reasons. Now these women came out and they listed things that they didn't want and they wanted change. We know change is hard, but I believe it took many years for them to decide to come out this time and to talk to the Liberian people and to the government and say, look, we don't have lights. Our children can't go to school because the school fees are expensive. Our husbands are not taking the rightful pay. Our houses are dilapidated. We have two military men with their wives sleeping in one little apartment or one bedroom. When this thing need to change, look, these people are people that needs to be taken care of. The military. They need to be cared for. Building 40 military hospitals is a brilliant idea. It was good for them and the Liberian people. But when they go to the 40 military hospital, it looks so elaborate and nice. But then when they go home, it's just a disaster. dilapidated places that they lived. These people could have decided. They could have decided to take over so that they can begin to enjoy the fruit of the labor or whatever Liberia has. But instead, they send their wives out there. So I hope and pray that as His Excellency decide to investigate the matter and the situation, that they will come up with some tangibles so that they can help the military, give them a better lodging places to stay, give them running water, let the children go to school free, help them out. I know there are things that they tend to put in place, but there are so many things that they could put in place to make these guys happy and never to do what they did by sending their wives out to protest, block the streets of Monrovia, of Liberia, in Grandview there, in Monrovia. That is not safe. That is dangerous. But I'm glad that Mr. and Major General Prince Johnson decided that it was better for peace to prevail than for him. What really puzzled me mainly was when the president, His Excellency, said the man has been confirmed. He has been confirmed, so maybe they really don't have a lot to... I don't seem to understand. These women, before this man was confirmed, they went over to the Capitol building and they appealed. They appealed stating they don't want him as the defense minister. We understand that the vice president, His Excellency Jeremiah Cohn, went to them, spoke with them and told them to give him 24 hours. He was going to get back to them. He lied to them. He never got back to them. These are the kind of leaders that you all voted in power. Leaders who were not listening to its people, who would say we'll do this and they would never get to doing it. He went and said he was going to get back to them in 24 hours. He never did. Now, what do you think? What are they thinking about him? That he's not a trustworthy man. If you are a leader, you must be trustworthy. When you give your word, stand on your word. I don't care what the circumstances is or are. You need to be the man of your word. Let your word be your bond. You can't tell them this and then you go because you feel that, the man has been confirmed, so nothing we can do about it. The president was the one who appointed him. Whether he was confirmed or not, the president have the right to withdraw that appointment. But because we have so much cowards in our leadership in Liberia, that's why we are struggling today. When they come to land issue in Liberia, somebody will come and sell a piece of land to you. Another person will come the next day and say, this land is mine. And then instead of that person going to the previous person who sold the land to this individual, they come directly at you and say, the land is mine, I want my land, you will have to rebuy the land. Whereas I wasn't the one who took your land. It was someone else who sold the land to me, gave me deed. I have my papers, they could sign the documents. And then now you come directly to me and tell me, that's my land, I want it, or else you have to pay. Why don't you go to the one that stole your land as you claim and sold it to someone else? Why come to the person who spent the money? And have all the documents stating from the court, from the archive, that this land was actually purchased legally and the person have the document. But I'm just giving the example because these are the lapses in government leadership. And people said there is no safety in Liberia. There is no law and order. These things are things that people need to deal with. And then law and order will prevail. People will begin to feel it and to see it and to experience law and order. But when people take law in their own hands and do whatever they want, the women claim that their husbands on Bear Mountain, at Bear Mountain, they were paying them $1,900 and they only received $300. And when their wives are suffering because their husbands aren't bringing enough money in their home, then it becomes an issue for their husbands. The wife begin to complain to their husbands in the military, and these husbands, two things either they do, either they try as they did by the wife saying, you know what, you guys go out there and protest, or they take out arms and overthrow the government. But we are so grateful that they took the latter. They decided that the wives go out there and protest, bringing attention to their plight, their situation. So I want to say here, publicly, thanks to the military, that they didn't take out arms and jump on the street or overthrow the government. And also thanks to their women, their wives. Even though they were a cause of obstruction here and there, but at least they were able to get the government's ears. And at least there's something happening today. So I want to say bravo to the military of Liberia. You guys are truly our defenders. You guys are great. You have good minds. You love Liberia. Because that's why you joined the military, to protect our borders and make sure that we are safe from our outside interference. So I hope that as the government progresses, they will take issues that are causing so much problem for Liberians. They will take it very seriously. Take it very, very seriously, so that Liberians will be happy once again. So to you, my subscribers, I want to say thank you for returning. Thank you for your consistency. Thank you for being a part and parcel of what I'm doing here. I'm so glad that you could do that. This is your show just for you. And this is your man, Sonny Wayne Fella. Have a blessed day.